Hey guys, the franchise code here, and welcome to FIFA 20. We're going to start up our first FIFA 20 series of a couple that will be on my channel, and we're going to start franchise mode, though on FIFA it's actually called career mode. And we're going to actually have two different career modes on FIFA. One will be a manager, and one will be a player. So, career mode on FIFA is a little bit different from some of the others just because soccer or football, as they call it, is a little bit different. We are going to download the latest roster update from EA Sports, and I'm going to get in, create my manager, and then I'm going to give you guys a look at the team, and I'm going to talk a little bit about career mode in FIFA because I know there's a lot of people who don't know it, as well as some of the others. There's your option for the two we're going to take: manager, career. And you have to choose a manager, like an avatar person. So I choose the one in the middle generally because that's the guy who I like. Um, so FIFA career mode, obviously very different from the other major sports in that you have multiple competitions. So we have the league competition, we have cups that we're in. I know you'll see we have a preseason tournament. So basically, there's a lot more to keep track of. Also, there's transfers, which are kind of like free agency, but a little bit different. And I'll explain that as we go. And there's also youth scouting, and we'll have a youth academy where we will try and bring up younger players. And as you guys see, I'm going to be taking control of a lower division team, so not a team that's in the top division. We're going to be taking control of a team that's in the second division of its domestic club soccer. So we're going to need to probably use the youth academy quite a bit to help build up this team, as it's going to be very difficult to build them up through transfers because we're not going to have the money and we're not going to have great players to start. So as you see, we're going to go to the championship in England, which is the second league. And the team I decided to do was Hull City, a team that has spent time in the Premier League, and we're going to try and get them back to the Premier League and make them a contender in the Premier League through building up the youth squad, getting a lot of young players, players with high potential, and we will figure it out from there. Here's a look at the settings. Um, Pretty basic. The one thing I changed from the defaults is I'm going to turn international off because I just want to focus on Hull. I don't want an international team to deal with. That's not part of the series. Sometimes that can be fun, but that's not part of the series. Alright, so as you see, we have a preseason tournament. I'm going to accept. I would like to see how our team plays in a little preseason friendly. Though I am going to go for the lowest one. It's in Turkey. Not particularly great competition, but I think it'll be good to give me a sense of how different players in the squad play. So now what I'm going to do is go through some of the different stuff that's on FIFA career mode while I talk a little bit about what my plan is. So we will be playing games. We probably won't simulate games in this just because simulation in FIFA really isn't all that good. This is my email, by the way, and you'll just see we have from the board, talking about expectations, and then just a welcome message. And then we have our scouts. Those are our higher level scouts. You have amateur scouts who look for players to get put into your youth academy, and you also get scouts that look at other players in other leagues you might want to bring in the transfer market. These are the scouts for the transfer market players, not the youth players. Here's just a quick look at our expectations for the season. You always got to make sure you try your best to meet these, or else the board will get unhappy with you, and you don't want that because you can be fired, and that would be not a very fun way to end this. But generally, if your on-field performance is pretty good, then the board will be happy with you, and you won't run into too many problems. The financial stuff, I know it says high priority in there, but generally speaking, finances aren't as difficult to control here as they are in some of the other EA games. Now we're just looking through guys that our scout brought us, and basically just trying to see what kind of players we're seeing, and I really didn't see anyone who I thought looked too good. Really, no one who had what I would think would be super high potential. So I ended up uh, not really pulling anyone, not really targeting anyone out of what the scouts brought us. So, as you'll see in just a second, we're going to take a look at the squad, and we are obviously not a particularly great team. I'm going to look at the standings first, show you guys the competitions we're in for this year. Obviously, we have this preseason tournament. Really doesn't mean anything. I think we get a cup if we win. The Super Cup we're not in. Champions League we did not qualify for, and neither did we for the Europa League, as you'll see as I slide through the teams. We did not qualify, as none of the championship sides do. Here is the championship. This is our league. Obviously, personal goal would be to finish in the top 3, because then we get promoted to the Premier League, but that might not be realistic in the first year. And then right there was the FA Cup. We will be participating in that. That's all the English club teams. However, we do not have a first round draw, which is good. You don't usually want to be put in the first round. So let's just take a quick look at the team. And as I flip through, you'll see there's a couple of positions where we probably need to get better if we're going to be a particularly competitive team fighting for one of those top 3 spots. Striker is somewhere where I'm probably going to need to improve. Also, Cam, we're playing a CDM at Cam right now. He is a solid-looking player, but probably not a guy I want to keep there long term. Central midfield, you can see that we have some older midfielders, and we have a couple younger midfielders. The older guys are guys who I'm probably going to want to start to push out. However, the younger guys like Bowen you just saw, who we will see later is what we would call a promising player, so a guy who has the potential to develop very well. We are going to want to build around players like that. As you see the bench and the reserves, this team lacks high overall talent. Not surprising. We're a second-tier team in England, a league that's very top-heavy, and a country with club football that's very top-heavy. Here's a look at the squad reports. This is where you can kind of check morale and all sorts of other stuff with the players by position. You can also go through their stats. This will be something we'll utilize quite a bit once we get deeper and deeper into this career mode, into the season, because this will give us a lot of very valuable information about our players. So for the squad, that's pretty much it. I do want to take a look. We are going to get a quick look at the youth staff and the youth academy. We're going to go through and hire a couple of youth scouts. As you guys will see right here, I don't have any scouts to begin with. You have to go hire them. And I generally like to hire guys from a couple different countries. Being an English team, first guy we have to hire is from England. He's got pretty good experience and okay judgment, which is fine. We're a lower level team, so we can't really afford to go after the giant guys. Second scout we're going to hire is Ireland, just because he has good judgment. And Ireland right next to England, that's a believable team for us to scout. And then for the third one, we're going to take a shot in the dark, because sometimes teams will do this, and we're going to hire a Greek scout. Teams are known to do this. Lower level English teams will sometimes try and hire a scout from kind of an obscure country like Greece, a country that's not really known for its soccer or football. And so you send someone there, see if you can find a hidden gem of a player. So we send the scouts pretty much exclusively to their regions. Now, sometimes with a scout from Greece, you might send them somewhere different, and as you guys will see, I think about it before eventually sending them to Greece. All of them are going out to their respective countries for 3 months, and they're looking for basically anything they can find. I like to keep it very open-ended. We don't really have any players at positions where it's like I have a player where it's like, okay, he's locked there for the next 5 years. We don't have anyone who's even really sniffing 80 overall. So we really want to make sure that we can leave ourselves open to acquiring all different sorts of players, all different positions. We need goalkeeper, we need defense, we need midfield, we need attackers. So we're going to end up sending all of these guys to their specific countries, as you will see. Now, I know Greece seems very obscure, but there have been some pretty good Greek players, specifically defenders. I can remember Socrates. I don't know how to say his last name, but he was just known mainly as Socrates, who played on Borussia Dortmund for a while. He was Greek, and he was one of the best defenders in the German league for a long time. So you never know, maybe we'll find a hidden gem like that for our team. So there we go, youth squad is all set up. This notification in the inbox is just basically the youth scouts telling me, okay, I got your assignment, and I'll give you reports every month. And each month we'll add guys to our academy, and as they're in our academy, we'll find out more about them. We can find out pretty much it's usually down to like an 8 to 10 range of what their potential is. So we know, a guy has the potential to be 71 to 81 overall, or something of that respect. You can see just checking the finances. Those will fluctuate as we go. Let's take a quick look at our calendar. As you can see, July and August, the transfer window is open for all of those months. We have our preseason tournament, and then on the 3rd of August, the championship starts. We also have the Carabao Cup. Talk more about that when it comes up. Obviously, it won't come up for a while. But yes, you can see preseason tournament starts, and then we will open up the Premier League season. So we're going to do one more thing. Actually, we're going to do two more things before we call it a video. First thing, as I look back at the squad, I was kind of looking for what specifically do we need, because I want to target one or two players on the transfer and send scouts out to check their overall, guys who we might be able to steal from a lower level team. And I am a guy who, in FIFA, I like to build teams up with a strong defense. I think that that's where I want to start building this team. I want to start with a strong defense, and then we'll build our way forward. Especially in gameplay, I feel like having highly rated defenders is very, very important. So we're going to go through, and I'm going to search all defenders. And we are going to not really put we're just going to put an age restriction, because I only want young guys. I'm not looking for older players. We're not a team that's trying to compete for the Champions League spot or compete for a spot. We just want to build ourselves up from the ground. So we need younger players, not looking for veterans to come in. And as you'll see, what happens is you search, and it gives you the player's age, their position, where they play, where they're from, the club they play at, and the country they're from. And it gives you a preliminary report, which basically just tells you a couple of good skills that they have. And you don't get to know the players overall, their value, anything like that, until you send a scout to go take a look at them. So in this, I'm probably going to end up picking two players to send a scout out to go look at. I'd like to pick fairly local players. I want at least one of them to be an English player, maybe from our division or division below us. To see if we can find someone who might have high potential, who we could bring up to our team. And this guy, this 18-year-old left back, fits that characterization perfectly. He's a little bit small, but he looks to be relatively fast and agile, which is good out of fullbacks, especially in FIFA. You want fast fullbacks. So we'll add him to our list and take a look at him. Send a scout to go check him out. And we'll add him to the transfer shortlist, and you'll see later that that just makes it so we can access him rather easily later down the road when we want to see him. And because I am obviously from the United States, I saw this 17-year-old center back, 5'11", from the United States, who was relatively fast, it seemed like. So we're going to scout him, add him to our shortlist, and maybe we can steal an American player. That's very, very common. Young, good American players getting pulled over by English sides. Obviously, the best American player that I can probably remember in my lifetime was Tim Howard, and very quickly he was pulled out of the MLS and brought to Everton at the time. So we're going to do one last thing before we call it a video, and that's going to be the training. So this is one of the ways for us to basically just improve our players. And as you'll see, initially I put a player on. I put Lewis Potter on for a training slot. I will eventually take this off because I was unaware how many promising players we had. We actually ended up having a few more than I anticipated we would. Promising players, as you'll see when I flip to wingers, they're the players who have the little graph like Bowen here. So that basically means that they have a relatively high potential value. So they're guys that we want to, basically they're guys who we want to focus on in training, guys who we want to get solid minutes in the squad. So, I mean, they're prospects for lack of a better word. That's how you would essentially compare them in any other sport. And Bowen looks like a really, really good player. He's already our best player, so I'm going to give him 2 training slots because we do only have 4 promising players. I even flirted with giving him a third one, but I didn't want to tire him out too much. We have 2 midfielders and 1 center back who are both promising players. No fullbacks, no goalies. So again, those are 2 places we're going to need to target, as well as strikers, but that's kind of a lower priority for me because we have a couple young strikers who, while they're not promising, they have relatively high overalls. And as you'll see here, I'm going to just go through and add training. Everyone besides Bowen, who is a promising player, is just going to get 1 training slot. And as you see, I go back to Lewis Potter and I take his training slot off of him and give it to our center back, who is listed as promising. And I didn't realize how big he was. He's 6'2". That's pretty big. It's pretty good. And then we simulate through, and as you guys see, their attributes will slide up, and after weeks of training, their overalls will go up. So I think this video is running a little bit longer than I anticipated, so we're going to call a video there. But thank you guys for watching. You'll see more with FIFA, specifically the whole career mode. I really do enjoy career mode in FIFA, so I'm going to try and bring it into the spotlight on this channel. And hopefully we will have another episode out soon. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And episode 2 will be coming out shortly. Take care.